Shalom. Today is February 7th, and we're marking 4 months exactly since the beginning of the war between Israel and Hamas. We're watching Channel 11 here, and the anchor is saying 4 months exactly. Prime Minister Netanyahu responds to Hamas's demands for the hostage release deal. And he says, if we give in to their demands, not only that we will not get any hostages back, but really we will be inviting another massacre. Very soon we'll hear the appeals of the hostage women that were released. But here we're hearing for the reporter now about what Netanyahu is saying. Netanyahu says, Drishot Hamas, the demands of Hamas, hazuyot umetorafot, absurd and crazy. Some of the demands, the points of Hamas are just non-negotiable whatsoever. They're not even for discussion. Like the idea that Hamas will have any sort of influence on what's happening in Temple Mount, or demanding that the Palestinians in Gaza will move from the south to the north, or improving the terrorists in Israeli prisons. So these are different notes or demands from Hamas that Israel just cannot accept. But Israel does say that this is a negotiation plan, so this is just a starting point and the talks can continue. This is what Prime Minister Netanyahu says. We're not stopping for a moment to work for the release of our hostages, but I'm telling you, honestly, something that I believe in. The continuation of military effort and pressure is a must, is a condition to the release of the hostages. Giving in to their demands not only will not bring to the release of hostages, but it will bring another disaster to Israel. Amongst other things that Netanyahu said in his speech is that he ordered the IDF to operate in Rafah, in Rafah. And that's for the first time he said such a thing. Tzahal, the IDF, is preparing to act in Rafah. Now there are a few obstacles of that because there are citizens there. There's 1.2 Gaza citizens in Rafah right now. Many of them have just came from Khan Yunis and from the north. Israel will have to evacuate these Gazan citizens, and evacuating more than 1 million citizens will not take a day or two. It will take much longer. Another obstacle is Egypt. Egypt is bordering with Rafah, and they'll have to approve any move that the IDF does in Rafah. So the IDF could operate only after the government evacuates over 1 million citizens from Rafah and gets an approval from Egypt. So this will take a lot of time. Hadrishot shel Hamas, the demands of Hamas. So despite what we're hearing from Netanyahu, that it's ridiculous and absurd, still we're hearing here from the reporter, we'll be hearing soon, what are the demands? And that the table is open, as they say in Hebrew. The negotiation is open for discussion. In addition to stopping the war, Hamas is demanding 500 humanitarian aid trucks to come in every day to Gaza. So here are the demands of Hamas. Drishot Hamas laiska, to the deal. Complete ceasefire, the removal of the IDF outside of Gaza, seizing any air activity above the strip, and 500 trucks of aid every day. Demanding to receive 60,000 mobile structures or buildings into the strip. Complete freedom between the south and the north, complete freedom of transportation. The return of control of the Waqf over all of the gates in the Temple Mount. They're saying this is just absurd. And improving the conditions of terrorists, bevatei hakele, in the prisons. And now to the 3 stages, according to Hamas, for the deal. Each one of them will take 45 days. The first stage will be the release of women, nashim, mivugarim, elderly, the ptsuim, injured ones. Shlav shani, the second stage, is the release of gvarim, men, chayalim, soldiers, and female soldiers too, chayalim v'chayalot. And the third stage is shichrur gufot, the release of bodies, of corpse. What does Hamas demand in return is 1,500 terrorists to be released, out of which 500 of them are life sentenced. The reporter is saying these demands are many and complex. Meanwhile, the seniors of Hamas are explaining their media that their prime objective is to release as many prisoners as they can from Israel. here a senior in Hamas, says that we are focusing first and foremost in the release of prisoners that were life sentenced in Israel, in the prisons in Israel, and everybody who was arrested after October 7th. And I think there's a good chance to release a large number of prisoners. And in France, they marked a national day of mourning, marking the 4 months since the beginning of the war. The president of France and the whole country of France remembered those who were murdered on October 7th. Macron declared that they will do everything for the release of the hostages. And he says that Hamas opened in a surprise attack, the largest anti-Semitic attack in the current century. Next, 2 combat soldiers fell in battle. The first, Hanan Drori, 26 years old from Jerusalem. He actually got injured last month and he caught a fungal infection. And yesterday, he passed. Next is David Shakuri, 38 years old from Rehovot. He's a father of a 1-year-old girl. May the memory be blessed. Next is the Hatzarat HaChatufot Sheshuchraru. It's the appeal of the hostages that were released. They're saying that the price is too heavy, and if the hostages are not released, every 12th grader, every teenager, every woman will think that they're next in line and they're just a very low value. So there are many hostages that have been released that are speaking here. They're taking turns in speaking. They're appealing to the emotion. They're saying that 124 days these hostages have been held there. They're also thanking the government for freeing them, but they're appealing to Prime Minister Netanyahu and his family and asking, pleading, crying for them to release the hostages. Adina Moshe, an educator in a kibbutz, she says, I was there, I felt there, I went through pain there, but I was released. And the younger ones that I educated in the kibbutz are still there. And I believe some of them are not amongst the living because I know they need some medication and they're not getting it. She's pleading to Mr. Netanyahu personally. She says, everything is in your hands. You're the one that can release them. And I'm concerned and afraid that if you continue in this line of demolishing Hamas, there'll be no hostages left to free. She says, we've guarded the boundaries, the borders with Gaza for so many years, and we never evacuated, even though rockets were throughout the years and different wars, we never evacuated. And I love my country. Nobody will take that away from me. But I want my country back, and I'm speaking about the moral values of the country. I feel it's gone. And here's the next one, Sahar Calderon. She's 16, and these speeches are going on, very emotional, with a lot of pain. Specifically, her father is still in captivity, and families are just torn apart. Well, for more updates and stories, go to allisrael.com. This is Rotem Magen for All Israel News.